And we are live. Welcome to the channel. It is Chosen Wisdom Football, a channel for the football purists, for the Man United fans, for the critical thinkers, for the people who think deeply. If that is you, then this is the channel for you. And if it's not you, then it still might be the place for you to stay. Welcome, welcome. This is, of course, your midweek news talk show where all the daily, all the news, all the juicy topics, all the hot topics will be presented to you right now by myself in a nice, juicy little package. I hope everyone is having a good day. Let me make sure my sound is good. And make sure everyone is feeling fine. Bear with me, everyone. For a second, everything is breaking around me as we speak. But I hope everyone's feeling good. I hope everyone is having a good day. I'm unable to see the chat at the moment, but I can know that Dara's in the chat. Turkish in the chat. Big up Dara already. I see you, Dara, already predicting a 3-0 win to Manchester United. I think, guys, Saturday is the day we finally give Spurs. We finally give them one. I think Spurs are due. Spurs have become Spurs have gone from being a team that we usually slap around to now quietly maybe becoming a bogey team. So in my humble opinion, I think Saturday Spurs are owed one, at least. So big up Dara in the chat. Big up the chat. Guys, this is your Wednesday news talk show. So we will go through the big headlines, the big talking points, and here they are. So on today's show, people, we will go through the multiple factors that are impacting the summer spending, which includes, of course, where Manchester United finish. We're already talking about spending money, allocations, and the factors depending, or the factors we rely on, or to determine how much money we spend this summer. Also, guys, on today's show, apparently Manchester United were looking at other strikers because of Sesko's low or lack of initial impact. We're going to get into that. Personally, I don't know how much I believe this story, but we'll get into that story. Also, guys, on today's show, as you might have seen, Harry Maguire is apparently seen as a leader in the dressing room. And after his recent form, all of a sudden, he might stay. He might stay next season. We're going to talk about that as well. What do you guys say about Harry Maguire? His change of form. Are you going to give Harry Maguire a new contract? What would you do? Let me know. We're going to talk about that as well as the fact that Man United apparently say they have reasons. They've highlighted the reasons that we excessively spend. So we're going to talk about these reasons that United have highlighted today. Also, we're going to mention Steve Holland. There's news that Dalot has come out and said he is impressed with Steve Holland. Steve Holland is the assistant coach at Manchester United. We've spoken about him before. We've heard about his history and his past, and it looks like more and more players are buying into what Steve Holland is doing. So we'll get into that as well. Also on today's show, guys, you might want to talk about this. Mazraoui, due to his religious beliefs, is responsible for changing the team's outfit selection. He doesn't want to wear, for instance, the rainbow, which is, in support of LGBTQ. Maguire doesn't want to wear that because of his religious beliefs. And this topic might veer off football a little bit and get into another territory, which is quite a soft, quite a delicate conversation, religion. But we can talk about it. We can talk about Mazraoui being responsible for Man United changing their whole kit because of his beliefs. They want to show a unified front. So if Mazraoui doesn't want to do it, then none of them are doing it. That's what's happened. We're going to talk about it if you want. That is a topic of discussion, people. Like I said, very delicate topic. So be respectful as well because it is religious. So on today's show, guys, as you might have seen, Amorim apparently will be making a statement at the end of the season. The statement will be about leaving Manchester United, and apparently he's doing this to protect the team's concentration. We're going to talk about that as well. I have a lot to say, guys, about Ruben Amorim, about what's happened since he's left, and also I have a bit to say about the Amorim inners, what they're trying to say, and how, in my opinion, the people who were in love with Amorim are trying to recreate and change the past, trying to change narratives and recreate narratives to suit them. So it's a very, very interesting show we have today. Very, very interesting. From Sesko stuff to Maguire stuff, from Carrick, Mazraoui religious anti-gay stuff, if you want to call it that, if you want to call it that, and all the Amorim stuff. So today's show is going to be very, very interesting, guys. Some very, very delicate topics to talk about today. So big up the chat. We're going to get into it. Big up Sausage. Big up Dara. What's Dara Sausage saying? Spurs have become annoying. Yeah, Spurs have become... They've reversed the switch on us, Spurs. We used to go to Spurs thinking, yeah, we're going to beat these guys. And they've somehow, in a very short space of time, reversed that. No, they're due. Spurs are due. And we're going to give it to them. 100%. Dara says these reports are arse. They were also out last season talking about how we can't spend that much. Yes, every season there is conversations about United not being able to spend. There's also some there is truth, a little bit of truth in the sense that we can always spend, but it's true that we don't spend as much as we could have. We spent almost 80. Let's say we spent 200, almost 200, 300 million, right, this summer. And we had some some outgoings as well. That wasn't all money up front. It was £15 down payments over like 4 years for almost all the deals. So it's one of those ones where we're in 600, 700, 800 million debt. We don't have a lot of money. So that is true, but we also have a lot of money. And one of the reasons why we can spend, even though we don't have a lot of money, is because we're trusted. Our credit facility is really good. Banks still lend us money. We have a credit card that we max out. We spoke about all these things in the summer. Man United have levers that they can pull to release cash with lower interest than the interest they're paying on the repayment of the initial loan to buy the club. So we don't need to get into that. We're very enough topic. So let's stick to the subject matter. So apparently, guys, big up the chat as always. Manchester United are expected to have some money available to spend this money, but the amount will depend heavily on several factors, especially whether they qualify for the Champions League next season. And that's one of the reasons why I was frustrated with the narrative about spending, because if we were to qualify for the Champions League and get that £100 million Champions League money, we would have more money to spend. And it was Amorim. For me, Amorim's the reason why we didn't qualify. We didn't win that match. Amrim is a bad coach. And all the people who were Amrim in kept moaning about the fact that we couldn't spend. And I was like, yeah, we can't spend as much because Amrim didn't do his job. All you had to do is win that match against Spurs. And he chose to stick to the same silly system that was failing all season. He could have changed it. He chose not to. He was stubborn. And once again, in the final, he put on defenders. Rather than, we should have won that match. We didn't get that 100 million Champions League money, which would have added to our transfer. But yet the people who were Amrim in just couldn't see that Amrim was hurting the club in so many ways. But anyway, he goes on to say this. With Champions League, the extra revenue, and also the revenue from being in the Champions League, the extra games as well, the extra revenue would significantly ease their financial situation and make more substantial transfer spend much more feasible. Without Champions League, they could be forced to borrow heavily, which is what I said. Still use that credit card and borrow even more. Again, to fund big signings, like by drawing on their revolving credit facility. I literally said it before I even read. This same facility covered a large portion of last summer's £250 million spend. So like I said, it's one of those ones where the talk about we not having money is true, technically. A lot of the money that we're spending is because we're borrowing more money to spend. The credit facility. You know, Radcliffe is cutting all of these. You're fired. He's doing all of that to save money because we're losing. But we do have money at the same time. So currently, United have already borrowed 295 million out of a possible 350 under these facilities, leaving them with only 55 million of remaining headroom to borrow without needing new arrangements. For me, like I said, like Dara kind of said, I don't think we have as low cash as this is making out. It's not as bad as this is making out, but it's not as shiny and rainbows as a lot of people make it out to be. We're in debt, guys. And we do borrow money even now to pay for signings. That's true. That is why I believe, let me know if I'm wrong in my thinking, or if you disagree, people, as you always will do. That is why it's so paramount that they finish in the Champions League this year. I think, yeah, even though they weren't really coming out and saying it with their chest, and I kept saying, come out, yeah. I kept saying on this channel, please come out and let us know what your expectations are. Is it top 4? They weren't saying it. I think it was only a month ago on this show that we said that Wilcox came out, or Radcliffe came out, and he said Champions League or top 5. And that was the first time anybody actually set an expectation verbally in the public. And I said, cool. I think they know they have to finish. The reason why they max out the credit card a lot with the Sesko deals and stuff. And I think they did all of that because in their minds, you got to finish in the top 4 and recoup that money back. That's what I think also is happening. I feel like they also fired Amrim. They had a feeling they wanted Amrim to improve. They wanted Amrim to finish in the top 4. And who knows? Maybe if he was still Air, Amrim would have turned it around and we would have won it. Who knows? I doubt it. That wasn't what I was seeing, but we will never know. But I think they were hoping, and I feel like they had to make that change because Champions League football is absolutely essential. If we don't get that Champions League money and we miss out on that Champions League money again this year, knowing that we got knocked out of the FA Cup early, no lack of revenue, knocked out of the League Cup early, lack of revenue. We didn't win any of those competitions like we did in the previous years and get that, prize money. Have to go to Saudi and do the friendlies and all these things now to recoup some money. So it's interesting. It's interesting, guys. Talk of sexual orientation and religious beliefs don't belong in sports, in my opinion. Yeah, that's about the Mazraoui stuff. I agree. I think you should keep your religious beliefs out of sport, which means Mazraoui needs to keep his religious beliefs out of sport and just go to work. I think he should just go to work. But I don't know. and just do as he's told. That's what I think. But then again, sausage is looking at the other way. If you allow ideology, yeah. But the problem is, sausage, football, yeah, is political. FIFA gave Trump the Peace Prize. They lie to you and say it's not political when they want you to shut up. Football has always been politics, and it's always been very political. Very. So, and we have loads of campaigns like campaigns against violence against women and stuff like that in football. We do loads of campaigns, kick it out. So it's such a difficult conversation because what is religion and what is just humanity? And the question therefore is, why is religion allowed to be so hateful? You have humanity, and we're not allowed to be certain things as humanity. You're not allowed to be racist. You're not allowed to be sexist. You're not allowed to really be these things. But then your religion tells you to be sexist. Your religion tells you to hate these people and hate that. So it's like you can lay into religion and be a bigot because your religion kind of promotes bigotry. But society says you shouldn't really be a bigot. So you have a clash of society and religion. But that is a conversation, guys, for a different show. So let's just cut that right now. And all right. Big up the chat. Is Maguire staying a joke? All right. So Eddie. Big up Eddie. Eddie Blacks is back. Yeah. My guy Eddie Blacks. We're gonna just quickly talk about Sesko. Quickly mention about Sesko. I don't believe this story, by the way, guys. I think this story is nonsense. But I feel like it's good to let you know what's been said and what other people are believing and what other people are saying about Sesko. Anyway, let's get into it. Peter Hall. Just in, Man United's recruitment team has been impressed by new proven Premier League forwards Cunha and Mbeumo. But Sesko has not had the same impact on the pitch, keeping the door open for potentially signing another number 9 this summer. To be fair, it does say potentially. So yes, of course you could potentially sign a number 9. Will you? Do you want to? That's a different conversation. But potentially mean there is a potential. Yeah. But I don't believe they're looking for another striker. I don't believe they would be looking. They're intelligent to know that Sesko needs to learn. Sesko needs to bed in. He's new to the Premier League. Give him some time. This is a non-story for me. I don't even believe anyone at Man United were thinking, maybe if Xerxes left, right, they might be potentially looking for another striker, but not to replace, no. Yeah. And not while they have Xerxes as well. I don't really believe this. But let's read on. However, Sesko's strong conduct behind the scenes at Carrington, described as one of the hardest workers in the group, really good Sesko, showing no signs of being affected by his inconsistency and determined to avoid becoming another big money flop, has won over club officials. This has persuaded them to focus solely on the midfield rebuild. Sesko's work paid off with a stoppage time winner against Fulham on Sunday, after which he was mobbed by the substitutes warming up. So basically, if you're to believe this story, we were considering buying another striker because of his lackluster start compared to Cunha and Mbeumo. And I'm like, I think everybody, and most people, and I said this, and I think a lot of you guys in the chat said that Cunha and Mbeumo, because they're Prem proven. You literally started the whole thing by saying that they are Prem proven. You literally said Prem proven Premier League forwards, Cunha and Mbeumo. So I don't really understand this piece. It's very silly, I think, but it is what it is. I thought it was, good to bring it to your attention, guys, as I do. People are talking about it. People are getting excited over the possibility of getting another striker and all these things. And I just want to say, no. Especially now we have Cheeto in the youth team. I can't see us getting another one. this summer. But let me know if you disagree with that. Eddie in the chat spoke about Maguire. Eddie, is Maguire staying? Says Eddie in the chat. Eddie, he might be. It looks like he might be. It looks like Eddie, he might be agreeing to a pay cut. This is the information. Sir Jim Ratcliffe is targeting a reduced wage bill by moving on high earners. Casemiro, for instance, is one of those high earners. Then the tweet goes on to say Harry Maguire might be an exception, with the defender open to an £80,000 a week pay cut. Some, at United, according to this tweet, think his leadership could be vital. I'm going to say this, guys. Once again, dash your opinions in the chat, guys. Let me feed off your thoughts. I don't want to be just me and my thoughts. I want your brain too. Anyway, I think it would be a mistake letting Casemiro, Bruno, and Maguire all leave in one window. That experience that they give, even if they're not good enough to start, having this, let's not do what Chelsea did and let go of loads of experience and dash in loads of kids and then capitulate. Let's not do that. So there's a part of me that's like, if Casemiro's going and Bruno's going, maybe we should be keeping Maguire for 1 or 2 more seasons. If Maguire is also prepared to take a pay cut, then once again, and an 80,000 a week pay cut, I don't know how much he gets paid. I mean, to take an 80,000 a week pay cut and still be happy, you must get paid close to 200 grand. So he's ready to do that. So cool. What I'm not going to do, though, is do a thing where I'm going to reinvent Harry Maguire's career. Because what I see people say online is that Harry Maguire's turned it around and he's resilient. And I'm like, he's turned it around, he's resilient? I don't know if I would use the word resilient, because for 2 seasons straight, we tried to offload him. Twice. For 2 seasons in a row, we tried to sell him because he was immobile and he couldn't fit the high intensity, high running, aggressive, mobile football that we play. He can't do what Saliba and Gabriel do for Arsenal. And to be honest, he still can't do that now. He's a good box midfielder. He's a good defender. He's a good defender in the box. Headering the ball, being dominant. He's big. But it's still very difficult to play expansive football with him. So I'm not going to do the whole he's resilient, when what's happened is that he refused to go to West Ham when West Ham bidded for him. He refused to go, even though we tried to push him out. And we bought Heaven. We bought Lenny Euro. Right? We bought these defenders to replace him. We bought Dalot to replace him. So that's all a fact, what I've said. It's not don't need to have no feelings, just saying facts. However, at the same time, Maguire has played well when he's been asked of him. You have to listen, just say what you see. We have seen, apart from the penalty he gave away, we can put the penalty to the side. Other than that moment, last 3 games, he's been good, Harry Maguire. He has been good. We've defended well, and largely because of him. So, I'm okay. Personally, I'm fine with Harry Maguire staying a year or 2 if his wages are reduced and he understands that he might not start every game. I don't know what you guys feel or think, but that's probably where I am right now. Eddie says he's gonna go. Eddie in the chat says he's gonna go. I don't care if he's playing better. I hear you, Eddie. I hear you. No, that's a fair point. That's a fair point, bro. I hear you. That's the reasonable response. But if he does stay, I'm cool with it either. If he goes, I'm cool. If he stays, I'm cool. As long as he does eventually play second fiddle, as long as we do eventually start playing the Heavens, the Euros, the guys who are a bit more mobile than he is, so we can push up our defensive line, so we can play on the front foot, so we can play at the halfway line. So yeah, big up the chat, big up TK. I see TK in the building. Get Dalot out before anyone else, and no comment on the LGBTQ religious talk. Some people want to stay away from the topic. I understand, people. I understand. I'm just going to go at it from a totally human perspective, just being human. I'm going to say my 2 pence and then we will move on. It is one of those topics, guys, and I totally understand. All right. This is excessive spending, Manchester United. Excessive spending? All right, here we go. This is the talking point. This is the tweet. Man United did their main deals before the season started, bringing in Brian Mbeumo, Matheus Cunha, and Benjamin Sesko. Cool, we know that. And adding Lemens. 212 million for those 4 players. The net spend over the last 5 seasons is £675 million, guys. Apparently, the highest net spend in English football, 675 million over 5 years. And what did we win? Did we win the Champions League? Did we win the Premier League? Won a few FA Cups and a Carling Cup. This is apparently where now we also, when we go through the news and we talk about this, we also talk about why this is now being put out there. It is clear that Man United are once again sending out the message, we broke. We broke, man. We broke. And they're letting you know the reason. 675. This also will vindicate people who say managers haven't been backed. I hate it when people say managers haven't been backed, when every manager has got £300 million to spend. Ten Hag got about £300 million. Did Thomas Frank get that for Brentford? No. Managers get Anthony's for 180 millions and Sancho's, and managers get 70 million for Bruno's and 65 for Casemiro's. Managers get backed and we spend 70 million pounds for Cunha and Mbeumo and 80 million pounds on Sesko. Managers get backed. That's a lot of money spent. So the idea that managers don't get backed because we spend badly is crazy. And we know why we can't spend more, because we're in debt. So it's the argument is circular. Why can't we spend more money? Why can't we spend more money? Because we don't qualify for Champions Leagues and we're in debt. Why are we in debt? Because the Glazers brought us on debt. There's nothing we can do about that. We can't get them out. But we're spending money. But we're spending money buying the wrong players. And that's the issue. The conversation is actually nuanced, guys. It's not black and white. Man United spend money. It's just not many clubs spend money on an £80 million winger and have to sell him 2 years later. Then another £70 million winger, then have to sell him 3 years later. Then 65 million on Ugarte, then have to sell him 2. Not many clubs do things like that. Chelsea can, because they've got that rich daddy, but we've made some bad decisions too, guys. Let's be real. So let's just be real. Anyway, big up the chat. Let's move on, guys. I feel like Man United are just once again putting it out there, making people manage their expectations about their spending. They always need to do this because everyone, when Man United come around, everyone ups their price by 50%, right? So United need to go around wearing proper, dusty, broke man, homeless clothes and act like they're homeless. So people drive to put the prices back down. I think that's what we do. Every summer, we put it out there that we ain't got shit, we ain't got money, and all of these things. And then boom, bam, money comes flying out of our pockets. So I get that as well. Diogo Dalot, everyone's best friend. I feel like it's good to mention Steve Holland once again. Diogo Dalot, another footballer who's come out. I think it's the second footballer that's now come out and actually mentioned Steve Holland in name, and that is really good. We've spoken about Steve Holland. I think we will hear more about Steve Holland, to be honest. And it seems like, guys, he's making a positive impact at the club. Diogo Dalot's come out in an interview and he said that I'm really, really impressed with them, meaning Carrick and his staff. I think the experience that they brought, they came with the right approach. This was never said about Amram in any way. Nobody, when asked about Amram, ever praised Amram like this. Never spoke like this. Everybody, all the players, when they speak about Carrick, when they speak about the staff, it's always like, I love this. It's a breath of fresh air. That what they're doing is really good. I'm really impressed by them. Dalot, Martinez, Maguire, all these people have come out, Cunha, saying they're really impressed. It's really good what's happening. And you never heard that kind of talk under Amram. It is so clear, it's night and day. They came with the right approach, Dalot says. And I know some of you don't like Dalot, but it is what it is. I mean, Steve was in this position a lot of times during his coaching career. So he knew what to say. He knew the right energy to pass to the players. It's important that Dalot is saying this because there's a reason why he's saying it and he's saying these words. He knew the right energy. When I told you guys, I said, Amarim's bipolarism, you can see Amarim's energy in the press conferences. You can see his energy. That's not the energy you want in it. I'm telling you guys, I played sport. I could tell for a long time, that Amarim's bipolar. Amarim's, I hate them, but I love them. And all these little things he used to do. And if he was like that in front of the camera to the 8 billion people around the world, if he was acting like that in front of the camera, what is he doing behind closed doors? I love this. He knew the right energy to pass to the players, bro. I don't think you guys understand what I'm saying to you. How important this shit is. This is a physical sport. It's not an office job. You can't, like, an office job, I can go to my desk and sit down. Like, to run a mile and then run another mile and run another, I need another kind of motivation. But put yourself through physical torture almost in football when you're just running and your heart's, you need a different kind of motivation because you're not just sitting down typing, which is easier to do in some ways. Really good stuff here. I like this stuff, guys. I ain't gonna lie. I can't see the rest of it, but yeah, I'm with Dalot. I think Steve Holland, the more, I knew about him before, but the more you read about him, the more you read about the players who enjoy him, who understand him, who are impressed by him, the more you have to pay attention. And I feel like bringing him in, bringing Carrick in, bringing in Woodgate and then Evans, and then seeing how differently we defend now, seeing our defensive structure completely change in just 2 training sessions. Very good, guys. I ain't gonna lie. I'm enjoying this. So big up the chat. I'm enjoying this positivity. I'm enjoying this nice energy. Okay, this is it. This is my channel. So I'm gonna say what I need to say at the end of the day. But I'll be respectful. Mazraoui refused to wear an Adidas jacket in support of the LGBTQ community last season. The Manchester United squad then decided that no player would wear the LGBT tracksuit in support of Mazraoui. I see this I see it both ways. Because one of you guys in the chat said, why do we need to wear an armband in support of any community in football at all? Right? Let's keep football neutral. And I understand that. Please understand that logic makes sense to me. I think that makes sense. The issue is football is political. And some people don't see being gay as political. They see as just being a human being. Right? Then you have the flip side. The flip side of this is, why should Mazraoui's religious beliefs stop or prevent the whole team from showing support for LGBTQ community? Like, if, for instance, you were a gay person and you played for Manchester United right now, and you were told that your teammates weren't going to wear the thing because Mazraoui's religious beliefs, what would you think? Because sometimes I feel like empathy and putting yourself in other people's shoes sometimes is the best way to understand things. Another way you can look at it is this, guys. Does it hurt how much does it hurt Mazraoui? How much does it really hurt Mazraoui to wear a jacket? But then the flip side of that is, why should he have to? This is a conversation that can go on for a long time. Religion, is it politics? Is it this? Is it that? And it's also a conversation that can get people angry. I don't really think, no one needs to be angry when having this conversation. I feel like this conversation could easily be a philosophical, sorry. This conversation should be a philosophical conversation as much as a ethical conversation, a moral conversation about morality, maybe, as well. A conversation about choices. And this conversation could be done intelligently and logically without any emotion or anyone getting angry. Another question I posed at the start is, and this is outside of football, this is just religion in general. And I'm a Christian, by the way, guys. So I'm talking about my religion too. Why is religion so hateful against people from that community? If God created everybody, by the way, everyone he created. And this conversation about that could go on forever, right? So we're not going to do that today because this is about football. So I'm just saying, I'm giving the one side. I'm also giving the other side. I've covered multiple grounds here. Spoke about different perspectives on the matter. Spoke about people's freedoms to wear and to not wear. And also, I think I've demonstrated the fact that this, just like many things in life, is subjective. It will always be subjective. It will never be objective. And it will always just be opinions. It will always be grey. It will always be nuanced. It will never be black and white. As much as we all want to make it black and white. But I feel like we are intelligent enough to have not go into detail, but have kind of these conversations without pissing people off, without offending people. You know, I think we can do that, and I feel like, you know, I don't know. All in all, to summarize, I respect Mazraoui's choice. I respect his right, yeah, to not do something like that, right? At the same time, I could see the whole man that could be seen as hateful, and it could be seen as you using your religion to obstruct something that, you know, other people see as just positive support for a community. Let's be honest, guys. I don't have skin in the game. I'm not part of the community, but let's be honest. You know, that community is looked down on. Let's just say it's looked down on largely. But anyway, we've spoken about this enough. I feel like we've spoken about this enough. We've scattered around a little bit, to be honest, but the NFL does a thing where it's a league-wide mandate to wear like LGBTQ or veterans or pink for bullying and so on continued. But a player doesn't wear it, it's a fine per game. I hear that. So I guess if the organization, if Man United mandated it, it's a way of Man United to get out of trouble. Because what should happen is that if Man United mandated it and Mazraoui still said no, it would become a thing and they would have to fine him. And it would look crazy. So I understand United's stance on this as well. Premier League could make it a league-wide thing and players could opt out for a fine. The team usually eats said fine as a donation. I see. TK's come out with the sense. That makes sense to me, TK. They could do that. Would they? I don't know. My thing in life is this, guys. When I say it's easier to love than hate, yeah, I actually mean it. For me, I don't get the hatred towards certain communities. Let people be, bro. We only have a short time on this earth before we die. Just let people live it, as long as they're not hurting nobody and killing nobody and doing madness. Let people live it and just be happy, bro, as much as you can. That's all I'll say. Anyway, let's move on. No. What's that meme? You know that meme that goes like that? Oh, gosh. Bare air. Anyway, this is where I'm going to lose it, guys. This topic right here. Ruben Amorim is set to wait until the season has wrapped up before making a public statement after being sacked by Manchester United. He has no desire to disrupt or affect the remainder of United's season. What? Oh man, my head hurts. Let me read this one more time because I've got so much things whizzing in my brain right now. How do I tackle this subject? Ruben Amorim is set to wait until the season has wrapped up before making a public statement after being sacked by Manchester United. He has no desire to disrupt or affect the remainder of United's season. Huh? I'm going to say one of the first things that came to my mind is, who are you? Who are you? This is his self-righteous, his ego is out of control. This guy only thinks about himself. Who are you to think that anything you say right now will disrupt our season? What makes you believe anything you have to say it's gonna be Ahmad's gonna be like, oh, Ahmad's gonna hear it, and Ahmad's gonna be like, I'm gonna play shit today. It's the mentality behind that statement is why I'm a bit annoyed. He has no desire to disrupt or affect the remainder of United's season. Bro, you fucked our season. You fucked the first half of our season. Got fired. Haven't said anything. And now you're like, you know, I ain't saying anything because I don't want to affect the remainder of your... Bro. Do you know what's funny about this, yeah? This is me being real, guys. I'm only going to be myself when it comes to this, right? This bit. I gave Amrim chance after chance to I gave him, you know me. I wasn't completely Amrim out. I kept saying, I'm waiting for him to change. I'm waiting for him to do the right thing. And he just refused to change. He kept doing this stupid system, this stupid thing. And I kept trying to give him a chance. TK, you know, I tried, bro. You know I tried. I really did. But this guy, what's funny about this guy? He left, right? And every manager that leaves usually has a goodbye tweet. Maybe not straight away, maybe not the same day, but like say, you know, thank you to the fans. Because the fans, the fans are so annoying, man. The Amarim sexuals. The fans sang a song. They made a song for him and started singing his name before he did anything. They loved him. They idolized him before he even led a team to a victory. Before we even kicked a ball, they were singing his song. It's a sickness. It's an illness in our fan base, right? That's how much they love this guy. And this guy has left and he's not made one tweet to say, you know, thank you to the fans, you know, thank you to all who just anything. He hasn't said anything. And the first time we hear anything from Ruben Amorim is him basically saying, you know, I'm going to wait until the end of the season to speak because I make a public statement because I've got no desire to. Man, I mean, what's the public statement going to be? INEOS lied to me. They told me I was the manager and not the head coach. Oh, who cares? What could he reveal that we don't know about the Glazers already? We already think the Glazers are a piece of shit. So, what? Wilcox stood on your feet. Wilcox is technical director. You're the head coach. Your job is to coach. So, guys, I don't know. But this is... TK said, Ruby, don't go away mad. Ruby, just go away. Yeah, it's like... It's weird, guys, because if you go online and spend just 10 seconds on the internet, on this crazy internet, you'll see people now starting to attribute our wins under Carrick to Ruben Amorim. People are now saying that, Ruben Amorim laid the foundations. Without Ruben Amorim, Carrick wouldn't be doing this. This Carrick is doing Ruben Amorim ball 2.0. He's just adapting it slightly. Oh, look at Ruben Amorim's signings. Look at the signing of Ruben. Listen, the revisionism is crazy. If Ruben Amorim could have done this all this time, then he would have done it. He would have done it. He had these players. He had the same players that Carrick has had for half a season, and he chose to do what he did with them. His job was to get the best out of those players, and rather than trying to get the best out of the players, he wanted the players to get the best out of his system. Let me repeat. He had the same players that Michael Carrick had. Rather than trying his best to find a solution to get the best out of the players, he used the players to get the best out of his system. He was trying to get players to fit his ideology or his rigid system rather than trying to get the best out of the players that he has. He was doing some kinky backwards bozo banduluism. That's what he was doing. And I had to sit there doing tactical analysis trying to understand his system and trying to make sense of it, doing all these tactical analysis, which were really good to do, but being impartial in my tactical analysis, saying that I'm not saying I agree or disagree with the system, just explaining what the system was. But deep down, I was thinking, this is some beat box midfield and all these things he's doing. Like, bro, you're overcomplicating the game. Teams like Madrid, teams like Man United, and so there's certain teams here that you just need someone to just say, go on, lad, just play. I'm not saying do an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Ole was a bit too much of a freedom. But these hipster managers that just want to get you and tell you to do something really specific and really rigid and don't move and run here and then they're not going to work at Man United. It was never going to work. To get his best out of his system, you'd have to get the best right wing back in the world, the best left wing back in the world, the best right. I've already said these players never existed. It would never have worked, in my opinion. But it is what it is. Ruby, I don't know what he's planning to say. But I don't think it's going to be anything that we don't already know. And there's one other thing I want to say, Eddie, T Kizzles, Sausage, Turkish, all you guys in the chat. There's one thing I want to say is this. Amorim didn't want Sesko. Amorim didn't want Lemens. He didn't. Amorim didn't sign any players. Wilcox and Vivell did. I want to talk about INEOS for a second, because for some reason, people who are Amorim sexuals hate INEOS. And I'm going to try to be impartial here, but let's be honest. INEOS have done more good than they have done bad since they've been here. For how long have they been here now? 2 years? A year and a half? Think about it. They've let go of some players that we didn't want. A lot of players are out the door that we did not want. They managed to do that in one window better than most other, better than, what's his name that was here before? Woodward, better than Woodward and all these other guys would have done. Garnacho's and Rashford, got them all out one window. Managed to sign Cunha. Nobody thought we would get Cunha and Mbeumo. Let's go back in time and remember getting linked to Mbeumo, and all of us were like, wow, we're going to get Mbeumo. And then getting Sesko after finishing 15th. We forget that at the time when we were getting linked to these players and getting these players, we were amazed that we were getting these caliber players. That's INEOS. That's Vivell. That's Wilcox. The worst thing, in my opinion, that INEOS have done, because I know INEOS have fired people and all these things, and from a human standpoint, that's not nice. But from a business standpoint, I understand. The worst thing they've done was hire and keep Amorim. That is literally the worst thing they've done. And it's interesting that the worst thing they've done, in my opinion, is hire and keep this man. But it's the people who are Amorim people who love Amorim, that hate INEOS. And for me, INEOS's biggest mistake was hiring the man that they love. It's like, what? I'm like, They've done good thing after good thing. Lemens costs 15 million, bro. I'm telling you, in about 3 years' time, Lemens is going to be worth 70 million. Dorgu cost 22 million pounds. In about 3 years' time, Dorgu is going to be worth 50 million pounds, bro. No one can chat to me about what INEOS have done in a transfer window, bro. They bought goals. Look at what Cunha and Mbeumo are doing. They've done very well. Do not lie and say they've done badly. Would we want midfielders? Do we want midfielders? Yes. But we understand the limitations. If Amorim, your God Amorim, if you had beaten fucking Spurs, now see, I'm getting pissed off now. If you had beaten Spurs, we would have got Baleba. Easily got Baleba. Done, dusted. And we wouldn't be crying in the midfield right now. So your guy that you want to keep is the worst mistake of INEOS. The one thing they've done really badly. Maybe keeping Ten Hag as well. A bit longer than they should have. So for me, it's just like, what are we? What is this? All the protests. I didn't listen. You notice I didn't really give my opinion on the protests, guys. I just spoke about the protests. I didn't give my opinion because I knew my opinion would probably alienate some people. I didn't understand. I'm like, are we protesting the Glazers? I understand, but Glazers and INEOS, yeah, I understand as well. But you're doing it now because Amrin got fired. Is he not the worst manager we've ever had? And you're now protesting that the worst manager we've ever had got fired, and now you want to protest. Why didn't you protest the week before, or the week before, or 2 months ago? Why didn't you protest in the summer? I don't know. I didn't give my opinion on the protests because I thought the protests were largely a reaction to Amrim getting fired. And I agreed that Amrim should have got fired. So I didn't really understand the protest. So that's just me on it. Big up TK, big up Eddie. I want to see what he has to say though. I do. But Eddie, what's he gonna say though, Eddie? What could he say, Eddie? Ruby might have the Epstein. Ruby's gonna come out and say flipping, oh no, I can't even say this, even as a joke. But certain man are in it, bro. Certain man who own the club. Imagine. Man dropped it. After all of that, guys, let's end with something silly. End with something funny. If this doesn't epitomize Ahmad, I don't know what does. This embodies the brother, bro. He is chaos. I've said many times on this, and I'll keep probably repeating myself. I think Ahmad is a menace. I think he's a menace, honestly. But in a fun way. He's a menace. He's just that guy in a change room that's you don't want to be around too much because he might do something like crazy. And you do want to be around him because he's a fun guy to be around, but at the same time you just gotta keep an eye out on him. That's Ahmad to me. He's definitely someone who causes chaos. But big up the chat. I hope he causes chaos on Saturday. I hope Tottenham, like I said, their old one, Ahmad on the right hand side. I beg you, Ahmad. I beg you, terrorize them on Saturday. 12:30 kickoff, local time. That's the kind of chaos I want to see my team cause. Big up the chat. Like I said, spicy one today. The MVP today is been given to Sausage because he wasn't afraid to give his opinion on a topic that's, listen, it's probably one of the most divisive topics we're probably going to cover on this channel. But if we can agree to disagree on it and move on, knowing that it's not gonna be a topic we discuss often. It's not gonna come up. When's the next time it's gonna come up, guys? Come on. So we can agree to disagree on it and let's move on to football. Then we're all good. Big up the chat. Big up the community. Enjoy the rest of your evening. As always, pray for a nice day on Saturday. Pray for a Manchester United. Do you know what? I'm going to go with 3-1. We're going to concede again, but we're going to score 3 goals. We've been scoring 3 goals. We've been scoring 3 goals per game, right? 2 against City, 3 against Arsenal, 3 against Fulham. Yeah. We owe Tottenham 3. We owe them 3-1. But it's Wednesday. We'll do our predictions on Friday. Friday is our match preview show, as you guys know. So tune in on Friday. We'll talk about who's fit, who's not fit. We'll go through the manager's press conference, the quotes, find out who he's going to play, talk about the game, your expectations of the game. We get your predictions in. Have some fun, as we always do on the Friday show. So big up, everybody. Hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, rest of your day, and I'll see you guys next time.